Dumb, da-dum, dumb, dumb. This is not difficult. It's really not. But we have been stupid all week. Our media, our politicians, ourselves. And what has been happening all this week in the wake of 2 mass shootings over the weekend shows the grossness and dumbness from those we call the mainstream news media and elected officials, or want to be elected officials. But I'm going to try to lighten the airwaves a bit with a common sense approach and show you the silly, because otherwise we'd become the cynical and malicious that the media is especially demonstrating. I'm Katie Petrick, and this is Healthy Republic. Our country faced tragedy again this week when we learned that 22 people in El Paso, Texas, and 9 people in Dayton, Ohio, were brutally murdered in 2 mass shootings just hours apart. Now, I won't name the shooters because I don't give glory to cowards or evil. What I will focus on are the days since the tragedy. A wise person once said, "The response in face of tragedy shows you the character of a person." Well, if our nation was a singular person, we'd be morally bankrupt with a blackened soul based on how we behaved and decried any sensible response. And by sensible, I mean President Trump's multiple responses to the shootings.
I just want to say that these are 2 incredible places. We love the people. Hate has no place in our country.
These barbaric slaughters are an assault upon our communities, an attack upon our nation, and a crime against all of humanity.
I am concerned about the rise of any group of hate. I don't like it. Any group of hate. I am, whether it's white supremacy, whether it's any other kind of supremacy, whether it's Antifa, whether it's any group.
2 words.
Thank you!
Trump's response is exactly what the President of the United States should say at this time. And I am fully aware that Trump's rhetoric is not always good. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I wish he would tamper it down with some of the petty tweets. But in this instance, he said it correctly. And then he rightly visited the locations of the shootings to visit with the victims and their families. That's the leader of the country trying to bring the nation together, not rip it at the foundational seams, because...
Fact. Bears eat beets.
Also, a much more important fact. White supremacy is evil. We must all agree that white supremacy is evil and is domestic terrorism. It's not hard to see that, and our president said just as much. However, because President Trump cannot say anything, even the most common sense, humane, dignified response when horrible tragedy strikes the country of which he is the leader.
Are you trying to hurt my feelings? Because if so, you are succeeding.
Trump is in the wrong according to his enemies. That being the media and anyone on the left side of sanity. But I repeat myself. The truth is, anytime we have a mass shooting, the first, number one thing we do is ask ourselves, what are the politics of the shooter? It's not the sympathy and the disgust at what was done, but the grossness of the politics associated with what is about to be blasted across the media airwaves, because we all know it's coming. And that's exactly what happened in this instance. The shooter of El Paso wrote a manifesto that stated white nationalist and racist views. The Dayton shooter's social media showed preference for Elizabeth Warren and leftist politicians. Ergo, attention is on El Paso, and the media is trying to silence the attention on Dayton, because politics. The sycophants in the media flock to the El Paso shooting because that fits the narrative that Trump is to blame. They don't get it, or basically, they just don't want to.
It doesn't matter.
I'll say this loud and clear for the people in the back. Donald Trump is not responsible for the El Paso shooting. And keep on listening, because Elizabeth Warren is not responsible for the Dayton shooting, just because the shooter was a fan of hers. And Bernie Sanders is not responsible for the 2017 shooting of Steve Scalise at the congressional baseball practice by a devout Bernie Sanders supporter. None of them incited the violence. We need to be decent human beings and start from the same premise.
I just want it to stop.
Instead, the media and those who were pandering for votes from the Democrats came up with insane commentary instead of focusing on attacking the problem. They just attacked the president. First, it was Trump's fault because they say he's a racist.
Directly pulling from the language of white supremacy. So I don't want to hear the question, is this president racist anymore? He is.
Donald Trump says hate has no place in this country. Donald Trump has created plenty of space for hate. He is a racist. He has made one racist remark after another. He has put in place racist policies.
He's not tolerating racism. He is promoting racism. He's not tolerating violence. He's inciting racism and violence in this country.
Now, Robert, you cannot actually believe anything of what you just said. That right there, it has to be an act. It has to be. I can't think it is anything but an act. Otherwise, Roberto, you're mentally unstable. I'd rather just think that he's a cynical politician, which is its own sad commentary. Continuing. Then insanity escalated to Trump being happy about the shooting and that he actually wants to kill people. Raul Reyes and Nicole Wallace on MSNBC claimed that Trump wants to exterminate Latinos.
He's basically declared open season on Latinos because we are one of his favorite targets.
You don't have a president, as you said, talking about exterminating Latinos.
Delusional. Wallace had to apologize after that one aired. My little brain just wonders why. Meanwhile, Mika Brzezinski is high and mighty enough where she can just go out and claim Trump wanted the shooting to happen.
Isn't it okay to deduce that at this point, this is what he wants? He is inciting hatred, inciting violence, inciting racism.
Don't worry, I'll answer for Joe Scarborough.
False.
This is not what Trump wants. Just rewind to what I said a hot minute ago and listen to what Trump is saying. He has denounced white supremacy.
Just don't care about the information.
But we aren't done yet. As the week continued escalating, we were starting to be told that anyone who even likes one thing Trump has ever said is now happy about the shootings and is responsible for when tragedy happens. Representative Joaquin Castro, twin brother of Democrat presidential candidate Julian Castro, shared a tweet with the names of his own constituents in San Antonio because they donated to President Trump's campaign. The list included the names of retirees and a homemaker, and all they did was donate to a candidate.
What do you want from them?
Well, the first thing is that I don't want anybody harassed or targeted.
But they will be because you put their names in public.
Like that was not my intention.
But that's
these
what will
things
happen.
These things are public. No, what I would like for them to do is think twice about supporting a guy who is fueling hate in this country.
Good on Willie Geist for actually asking the real question. But Joaquin, you didn't research because 6 of those donors on that list also donated to you and your brother. So you screwed the pooch on that one. You clearly didn't take any sage advice.
Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing.
And this next comment piqued the full stupidity that was this week.
The president said that we will fly our flags at half-mast until August 8th. That's 8/8. Now, I'm not going to imply that he did this deliberately, but I am using it as an example of the ignorance of the adversary that's being demonstrated by the White House. The numbers 8/8 are very significant in neo-Nazi and white supremacy movement. Why? Because the letter H is the 8th letter of the alphabet, and to them, the numbers 8/8 together stand for Heil Hitler. So we're going to be raising the flag back up at dusk on 8/8. No one's thinking about this. No one's giving him the advice, or he's rejecting the advice. So understand your adversary.
Tinfoil? Tinfoil. Does anyone have any tinfoil? Please. I need to make a hat for this guy. Anyone? What a Looney Tune thing to say. They, especially that guy, can't see what they are doing is exactly what they accuse Trump of doing. Using rhetoric that is irresponsible and not appropriate for someone in their position. Basically,
I do want the credit without any of the blame.
This is why the New York Times bowed down to its fellow lefties and changed a headline from fact to fiction. I was a newspaper editor. It's not hard to come up with a headline if it's factual because it's straight from the story. But here's what the New York Times did. Their front page story headline read, Trump urges unity versus racism. Then the left, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Democratic presidential candidates, blasted it on the Twitter sphere. So the New York Times changed the headline in subsequent prints and online to Assailing Hate, but Not Guns. You see the slant they put on that? They claimed the headline was flawed, but since I care about facts, it's more like their integrity is flawed. This same New York Times ran an op-ed by Charles Blow called "This is a Warning About the Two Sides of White Nationalism," in which Blow stated, "It's not simply a matter of whether Trump's rhetoric or that of any other politician led these shooters to do what they did. Maybe. It is also about recognizing that all of these people are on the same team and share the same mission and eat from the same philosophical trough. It's just that their methods differ. The white supremacist terrorists and the white supremacist policymakers are bound at the hip." Charles can blow hard because that is lunacy. He spent the entire column claiming that if you don't agree with him on immigration, you are to blame for the shooting in El Paso. He actually made that leap. And you wonder why people can't trust the media? Look at the September 2018 poll by Gallup and the Knight Foundation. Overall, 69% of Americans say their trust in the media in the past 10 years has dropped. I see the drop is higher for independents, Republicans, moderates, and conservatives. But for the Democrats and liberals, the decrease in trust is less than half. Again, my little brain just can't understand why.
That's it. That's it. You can't put a price on freedom.
I'm not going to say I have the answer to solving the mass shooting problem we have in this country, but I want to have real conversations. Let's discuss, logic through, analyze our cultural demoralization, talk about mental illness, talk about fatherless homes, talk about how boys are told to shut up and take it in this society and not let out aggression in healthy ways, like roughhousing. I do know the answer is not yell, pander, demand all guns be confiscated, and then yell some more. Instead, right now, let's try to have an actual conversation about logical and moral solutions in the comments section. Pandering and yelling have been done. And then, make sure to share this video and podcast. Until next time, stay healthy, America.